Hello everybody, Volty here. Welcome to episode 7 of my second Let's Play series for Oxygen Not Included. Now in the last episode we mostly focused on taming geysers and building a base logistics center, but with all of those latest additions we are starting to run a bit low on power production, and we also have already been at the limit for our oxygen production for quite a while, so I think it's high time we fix both of those issues with a little, or not so little build today. Yeah, with that in mind, let's jump back into the game and have a quick look. And here we are. Now my plan for today is building an upscaled version of this Mini-Hydra down here, which will require a decent chunk of materials, especially insulated tiles, to maximize the cooling and subsequently keep my base from melting. But for that I'm going to need obviously a lot more igneous rock than that little bit what I have over there. So before I can get started building, I will have to do some excavation. And the first blob of igneous rock I'm going to go for will be this one here. So for now, let's just add a fire pool here and then dig out this entire biome here. And less than 10 cycles later, we are done with the digging in this area, although I don't think we have enough igneous rock yet, so we will have to do some more digging. But before that, a few things have changed in the intermediate time. For one, these two volcanoes here became dormant and will remain for another 50 cycles or so. So I am still hoping that with this one here being active for another 30 cycles, I will get enough iron for the build I have planned, but if not, then I will have to make some more with the metal refinery. In the meantime, well, research is currently stuck since I don't have the databanks needed for the Radbold engine. And we also got an achievement in the meantime, which was super sustainable and generated 240,000 kilojoules of power without using coal, natural gas, petrol or wood generators. And nowadays with the latest update there is also the peat burner in there. Nice. Also, we managed to get our first regal behemoth egg, which I already put into the incubator, which allows me to make a few changes here. So first I'm going to move the behemoth up to the top again. That is here up to 3 behemoths. This one here later on will have up to 2 regal behemoths. And then I will need on the plumbing the pipes to activate all of these plume squash plants, which is just enough to be fed with 1 ethanol distiller. So this is also no longer needed and can go. And yeah, that is what I need to do over here. Now, where do I get some more igneous rock? I have even 2 of those biomes here, although this here is cut off a little bit on the side. And there is still a decent amount of igneous rock in here, even though I did a little bit of digging in early episodes already. So yeah, next step, expanding this ladder and fire pool further down and digging out all of this here. And here we go. Okay, that took a good amount of time, but as you can see it was also quite a bit of digging involved here. And yeah, I think we have enough igneous rock so we can get started, but before that, let's have a look at the achievement we got in the meantime. Yeah, easy living. Have autosweepers complete more deliveries to machines than duplicants over 5 cycles. And that was likely the autosweeper in my logistics center from the last episode. Okay, so now it's time to do a little bit more digging in this area here so we have the space to work with. And for that I just need to expand this line here up. And over here I need to go 2 layers up like that. And basically I just need to dig out all of this here, but I will do this layer by layer. And while I'm there I might as well also do a little bit of cleanup here, which means I can also close up and finalize all of those bedrooms here for future dupes. Now, following that, my dupes obviously need to get rid of all of the debris, but I also need to move all of this here out of the way of my future build. So, let's say, let's add this down here with 2 transformers. And a smart battery. That will need some conductive wire. Then also some automation wire. I will also need some normal wire. Making like that. And then we are bridge going over there. I'm not connecting them yet fully since I have the ones at the top there at the moment still. And I don't want to cause any issues with drawing too much power. Okay. I'm also not going to bother with that. And I will also have to lower the floor, and I might as well directly use the insulated tiles for that. And in preparation for later, I have put a little bit of ethanol on this ledge there, so we have a ready-to-use liquid lock in place. Now, let's start over here with actually replacing this, since that is not needed to be an insulated tile. Then, and this one will be visible, so I'm going to use some copper for additional decor. Then, on top of that, another of those joint plates connected with wire. This will be a mini vacuum chamber to thermally insulate this area from the rest. Then, these are all insulated tiles. On top of that, we're going to need 2 gas pumps. Then 2 shut-offs with those element sensors. Then also an atmo sensor. That one controls the pumps. This one here controls this. And this one here goes to a NOT gate. Like that. Then for the pipes, let's add... wait, this needs to go in this direction and then this one in this direction. I can connect the 2 here. Over here, this goes in a big loop like that. Then this one here will go all the way to the outside via a little bridge. And this one here will go to the left and run into a gas reservoir. And next to the gas reservoir, we will have a little gap, liquid reservoir. Then an airflow tile in the middle there. And when we're there, I might as well add the insulated tiles all the way to the top. There. Now in here, we are going to need a gas vent and a corresponding valve. It needs to be connected like that. Then 2 bridges and then a gas pipe coming in from the bottom and then also all the way to the top like that. Can't reach that, so we will have to open it. Okay, no. Some more pipes are still missing, so this needs to be connected like that. This one here will go up to this spot there and then go further up later on, although we can't reach that at the moment. Over there, we are going to need a high pressure gas vent. And then we have still some power demands. Let's just, for the moment, connect them like that. And I went ahead and already put in 1 kilogram of nectar right there. So, next up, it's time for the hydrogen generators, and those will have to be insulated. So, for one, I'm going to insulate the tile there. Although, that once again can be a normal tile. But I will need... Wait, this needs to be insulated. So, there. This goes all the way to, up to this spot here, and then for now we're just going 1 high. And on top of that, we are going to place our hydrogen generators, and here, importantly, out of gold amalgam. Then we will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers with mesh tiles as the floor. Each of those 3 high. And that is where we are going to place 10 of these here in total. Then for power connection, pretty straightforward. Just hope I have enough iron for all of my plants here. We'll have to see how that turns out in the end. So, then we're going to need some automation. And for the moment, they are just all going to be connected like this here. And then finally we need our gas pipe, which goes straight up here. And then get separated with those bridges. In those 4 spots here. The top is pretty simple. This goes up here, cools down the generators, and then goes into the generators. The same for this one here. And this one here. And these here. Oh, come on. What the? So, and these here are slightly bit different, but not too much. Okay, then we can also already prepare at least a little bit of the wall here in a way that allows us to still get in, but mix the later parts a little bit faster. Now, following that, it's time for the heart of our build, which are the electrolyzers. So first we need the floor, and then a bit of the walls with airflow tiles. This should be built first though. Then electrolyzers out of iron ore here, and then another 2 layers for a proper 9-headed Hydra. I will need a bit of flooring, like that, and they will also need some signal switches so I can control them individually. Just making sure I'm not forgetting any of those. Now for water, that comes from below, then goes into the reservoir, and then from here on is going a zigzagging way through all of those electrolyzers. Next up is power, so those go to the right. Power itself comes from above, and oops, goes further down and connects to this one there. Okay, now I will have to drop in some liquids, so let's add a mesh tile on top of each of those here. Some ladders so I can reach that. And then, on the furniture I think it is. Yeah, the pedestal on top of them. That should allow me, once this here is built, to drop in first a kilogram of ethanol and then on top of that a kilogram of nectar. And, oh, almost forgot, I think that's under automation, an automated notifier right there, which gets connected to this one down here, and then I'm setting this here to 50 and 50, and that way I get notified when this one here is only half full, so I have a little bit of time to worry about getting my issues resolved. And the first layer is now done, so we can add the floor and the walls, and then just repeat this pattern once again, and then once more for the top layer. And with that now in place, we can put in the side wall here, then add some more airflow tiles and normal tiles on top of that. I already prepared a kilogram of nectar here for our second gas vent there. And the valve, the pipes, and then the 2 gas bridges like that. Now, next up, we are going to need 16 pumps in this top chamber here. Like this, and since I need to reach everything, I'm going to temporarily add a couple ladders here and then later on replace them with the pumps. Now, those will need some gas bridges first. Then connect them with some pipes. And we go straight up here, and then first to the left and then straight up there. Then next up is an atmo sensor here, right there. That connects to all of the pumps. And we will also need some power, and this power wire here also needs to go to the very top. So then we have 8 here. And another 8 there. So, oops. Then we are also going to at least get started somewhat on the insulation layer on top. And I think for the moment I'm going to add a ladder here so I can build all of this side. Then over here we are going to need, at least for the moment, some more tiles. Then here we will have a little bit of a gap and then we close this off. In this gap we're going to add one of those plates. And then connect that with the wire from below. So before I forget it, this one here will have to go up. And yeah, once all of this is in place, we can worry about the parts at the top there. And I almost made a little mistake. These 3 pipes here actually have to go to the right, and only this one here has to go to the left. So, but with that fixed, I can close this off, and once that wall is in place, I can also close off the other 2 walls here. Except for the bottom one, so the carbon dioxide can continue draining from this chamber. So, next up, at the top here, we are going to need 3 large transformers and a smart battery. The transformers power our 3 wires like that, and the battery controls our generators. They will be powered via a joint plate here later on, so that goes there and then over and on. Now for the pipes, we will... Oh, actually, let's start with the top of 4 insulated tiles and then normal tiles. Now our cooling loop will go through here, a little down, then over to this spot where it switches to insulated tiles or pipes. Then we will have a double loop like that. We will worry about the top part being built at a later point though. Now for gas pipes. So this one here goes up and then over. This one here goes straight up. As do all of these here. And this one here also goes straight up and then over in the other direction. So anything I forgot? Nope, looks good. So once this is built then, and I'm sure there is no carbon dioxide in there, I can close this off with one of those joint plates and a normal tire below it. Just like this here. Additionally, I've put a liquid lock already in this spot, and over here I've added a little bit of conductive wire since we will need a little bit of power there. So next up is our steam chamber. So for that we need this wall here, and then a wall over there with a normal tile there, then 3 high gap, and then we have this wall. So that's closed off. Then we have a bit of the floor here, so that should allow my tubes to get to all of those places here. Then we are going to need at the bottom our thermo aqua tuner right there with a thermosensor connected to it with some automation wire. Then we will... I have to make sure my tubes don't get stuck in there, because they tend to be rather stupid in this case. So anyway, we are going to need our 2 bridges there. And before I forget about it, a liquid vent there for our steam turbine. Then this one here connects like that. This is our output, which goes straight up. And that is what I was talking about. You remain out of there. Yeah, definitely need to be aware here. So this goes over there. Then I have some normal pipes going that, and then closing the loop, so cooling the steam turbine and then cooling our oxygen and also the hydrogen. Okay. Good. Next up, power. We will have a joint plate there and another joint plate here. This goes all the way to the top, and that is where I'm going to place another joint plate out of copper, once again, since this will be visible. Now, in here, we are going to need some water. So, the bottle emptier, and then a bottle drainer to get the liquid loop filled. Then under ventilation, we're going to need a canister emptier as well to later on fill this with hydrogen. Okay, now for this part here, for the moment, I'm just going to close this off with some of those metal tiles here. Put in a bottom layer. Now I will need to get some liquids in there. So let's see. Yeah, that should allow my dupes to get everything. And over here. That, yeah, looks good. Then I will need one of these here, and let's go with copper ore. That will need to be powered. And I have a second one later on top of that, which is the reason I need the power there. Oh, then we will also need our automation wire for these two connected with a thermosensor in there. So basically I want to separate this into two different temperatures. So my normal base will be cooled here, and this here is then later on for my rockets, so I don't freeze the water in the pipes for my toilets in the passenger modules. So that is at least the basic idea for it. Yeah, and then let's add the bottle dryer there and bottle dryer there. So I should be able to get some liquids in there. Which liquids, I'm not entirely sure yet. We will have to see. I will also need a couple of temp shift plates. And I definitely don't have enough aluminium for that, so I'm going with granite here and granite there. Yeah, let's place a second one in there. So, next up are the gas pipes, and for that I'm going with, yeah, let's go with copper ore again. This one here has a loop there, this one here has a little loop there, and the other ones go straight down. Like this here, except for the hydrogen. That might as well loop a little bit longer, because the only real use I have for the hydrogen is for liquid like hydrogen, and I might as well cool it down as much as I can over here. Then the production is a bit faster. So, that is all of the piping for the gases. Next up I need a vacuum over here. Let's put in a pump. Then one of these right there. Connecting with the pipe, and then some power. Yep, that is insulated via the liquid lock. That is not good. Now over here, let's worry about the settings. I'm setting this to 0 degrees, so that I can use plain water here. The smart battery will be set to 50 and 90. And here I'm more or less forced to use the nectar. Similarly for the cooling loop itself. Since that will be set to minus 50 degrees, so the oxygen, even if it's just going through those 4 pipes here, gets cooled down enough to not melt the base. No. Yeah, looking good. So hydrogen, then we have our oxygen for the base, and then the oxygen for our rockets. Good. Anything else I need to worry about? Yeah, just need to fill this here. And I can also put in the second of those mechanized airlocks. And I need to get the ice out of there. But, yeah, at some point this here will be heated up enough to no longer be an issue. And then once that is filled and this is filled, I can close this off. And also top this off with an insulated layer. Although I'm going to keep this here open until I have enough nectar in there for 2 full cells. Now, with that said, we should be able to start this up here at least in part. So let's put in a manual generator with a little bit of power wire. For the moment, I'm going to disconnect the aqua tuner. And down here, first of all, we need to set this here to hydrogen. And then I would like to get some hydrogen in there as well. So let's grab that from the back there. And then move that in there. That way I can ensure this here doesn't stop running, because it's not getting enough power. Okay, so the current goal is getting these two pumps here going, and with that, all of this carbon dioxide in this chute and in this chute out, at which point I can close this here with some normal tiles. And then we can start considering how we're going to fill all of this here with hydrogen. So this here is properly primed. And here we go. The chambers are now properly separated. But I still need to replace this floor here with insulated tiles. It also means I need to mop this up and make sure that is not moved to the top in the immediate term. I can also empty the hydrogen gas there. And yeah, that is all looking pretty good already. So the hydrogen gas is now being distributed into those two chutes here. At some point we can use that to actually start up the electrolyzers and get some pressure going. But as I said, first I need the proper floor in place. And with that now in place, we can make our way up here again and set this back to nectar. We also don't need the power there anymore. Just make sure you're not getting rid of the joint plate yet. Then, next up is the vacuum chamber here. We're basically done in the middle there. So we can close this off with some normal tiles. And then, you only really have space for a mini pump, which then goes up there. And we'll need some power like that here. And once I have a proper vacuum in there, I can get rid of those here again and replace them with some normal tiles. Just like this here. Now it's finally time to get some water in here, so let's grab a pipe, connect to the one we already have in place, and I also don't need this much longer. We have a good amount of hydrogen and also oxygen in reserve, so this can just use up whatever is left in there. Okay, so now to avoid the water freezing in the pipes and bursting out, I should turn on all of those, which I can since the hydrogen has made its way all the way to the bottom. So that way we should be able to heat this up a little bit at a time without any of the water freezing in the pipe. And here we go. The hydrogen comes in at about 24 degrees and reaches this top part here at about 17 degrees. So we are safe and cleanly heating up the surroundings. Okay. Next up is starting to replace this one here with the setup at the top. So I'm just going to remove the hydrogen generator and quickly replace it with a large power transformer. So even if I get rid of this setup here, my base is not without power at any moment. Following that, I need a liquid lock over there, so I already prepared that in the most part. I hope there is enough nectar in there to actually produce a proper liquid lock. And that worked out nicely, so I can get rid of the second airflow tile. And then this insulated tile here with the hopes of getting all of this hydrogen gas into the top chamber. And now also, well, let's do that later on. So for the moment, I'm just going to wait a little bit until the hydrogen gas here for the most part has made its way up. And then I can close this off again and start the pump to get that into storage. And I should potentially turn off the connection here for the moment, because I want enough space in there for the leftover hydrogen gas down there. Now, in the meantime, we can get started at the top here. For one, we don't need that ladder, but we need a couple ladders in this layer here. Yeah, looks good. And we can get all of this dug out. And now I can, for one, set up a couple bridges so I'm not interfering with my hydrogen. And at the moment I think, yeah, 3 pipes are somewhat overkill, but better safe than sorry there. So, 2 down. And 1 will go up. Yeah, gas vents. I need a gas vent here. 1 here. And then another one here. Oh, that should be all of those. Then up here, maybe here. And there. So these two are connected to this pipe. This one here is connected to this pipe. The third one as well. And then whatever comes later is connected to this pipe, which for the moment will just end down there. Okay, that's all starting to take shape quite nicely. Pressure is equalizing slowly but surely. So soon we can close this off again, and we also don't need this anymore. The power is now provided completely by the setup at the top there. I am considering turning this on. I still need to fill this, so that is going to take a little bit longer. Okay, let's wait until all of this here has been put in place. And in the end, it took just about 2.5 cycles. Now, next up is priming this valve here with hydrogen and this valve here with oxygen. And I apparently forgot to set this here to 0.1. That is pretty annoying. Okay. So, quick fix. Get a liquid lock in there. Then I will need to get up here. Then make my way all the way to the top. There. Might as well use the opportunity to clean that up. And then on top of that, I'm just going to put in some ethanol, and then I can get rid of these two here. Quickly set this and then close this off again. Hopefully without getting any carbon dioxide in here, which would be really annoying to clear up. And I need to set this here to below, so it actually gets rid of all of the hydrogen. And yeah, while this is all being done, we might as well prepare a canister drainer here for the hydrogen that's still in this canister filler here. And then we are also going to need a gas pump and a bit of pipe, not yet connected though, for the oxygen. Yeah, so let's get this fixed and then those two here properly prime. Just like this here. Now, to avoid issues with gases getting stuck if they can't be filtered, I added also a high pressure gas vent at the top there as an overflow. And we are apparently running out of hydrogen because I forgot to reconnect this one there. Okay. In the meantime, we got our third achievement for today, which is, as suspected, oxygen not occluded. Distribute 1000 kilograms of oxygen using gas vents. That was fast. Okay, now next up on the agenda is just a bit of cleanup here, so the usual mobbing and clearing out whatever we no longer have need of. Which, as it turned out, was pretty much all down here except for the power transformers. Okay, now let's check how much do we have in there. I would say this is enough, so let's turn this off and close this first with our metal tile and then the insulated tiles. And with that, our Hydra is finally done, which means I can reconnect the aqua tuner, and since the oxygen is flowing rather slowly in there, let's set this to minus 25 degrees. That is more than enough. And yeah, with that said, we are done with our Hydra. I think I still owe you a little bit of an explanation about the heat management in there though. So this is our first chamber. And the only part in here which really produces heat are the electrolyzers themselves. For one, they output the oxygen and the hydrogen at 70 degrees. And for the other, they also produce a little bit of heat. The cooling here is primarily done via the incoming water, via this relatively short pipe. So all in all, this should stabilize somewhere around 70 degrees, which is low enough that we shouldn't get any overheat problems unless we get really hot water in there. So that is something to be aware of. This part over here, the only heat produced is via the hydrogen generators themselves. They produce a decent amount, but that gets sucked up by the 70 degree hot hydrogen in these pipes here, which are long enough, and the hydrogen is flowing slow enough that the heat transfer should be close to perfect. So all in all, this here should stabilize somewhere between 85 to 90 degrees, which is the reason I've used the gold amalgam in there. And then up here we have the only components that are running all the time and are producing heat all the time, and that is part of our actively cooled system, which also cools down the output oxygen and hydrogen. Yeah, that is the Hydra heat management explained. Okay. Now with that done, we can for one go down here and turn on our plastic production again. We are running a bit low already, as you can see over there, and we are going to need more in the future. And yeah, I think that is a good spot to stop with this episode here. In the next episode then we are going to rework the power management here and also get a more efficient source for our water for our Hydra. And with that, all that's left for me to say is that I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, share and comment if you did so. It really helps with the algorithm. In the end of that, I wish you a nice day and well, see ya.